What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I remain Justin.
I'm Pete.
And on The Stack, we review a bunch of books where the Avengers fight big-budget movie characters, and that's honestly pretty much it. Like, that's basically the only thing.
What else is there, Alex?
Yeah,
God.
Alex, what do you want the
nothing.
Avengers to do?
We're going to kick it off with Aliens versus Avengers, number 4 from Marvel, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Esad Ribić. This is the final issue of this series, which doesn't exactly match the title. I mean, there are some Avengers there, but let's be honest. It's kind of Hickman doing his Hickman stuff. He loves Valeria. She was at the beginning. He loves the X-Men. They're at the end. And in this final issue, Mr. Sinister is having a great time ascending to be part Xenomorph and fighting everybody on Mars, leading to a final battle there that I'll put, as usual, a blanket spoiler warning here at the front. Ends in a very open-ended way, which I would not be surprised to see a sequel to this book at some point soon.
Well, and that's cool because this book had a lot going on in 4 issues. The art is beautiful and well done.
Oh,
it feels iconic.
Yeah. I mean, look at this cover. Pretty cool.
Yeah. And I will say, this is like Hickman putting his, like you said, Alex, putting his heart in his sleeve, spending so much time on the Mr. Sinister stuff in the last issue and in this issue that I'm like, what does a casual reader come into this and be like, what the fuck? Why is he so many of this guy?
Yeah.
And that is crazy, but, you know, I do know about it, and I find it, I like it. It's such a showpiece. I do think it's strange that the way it ended is like, in a lot of ways, we already lost all of this, but I guess the 4 of us can hang out. Which I thought was like, oh, okay. Interesting.
Well, here's the thing that I think that I will big ups Jonathan Hickman here, and obviously, like you're saying, this would not work without Esad Ribić's art, but there have been so many oh shit moments in this title that I think, I got to be honest, I don't know that I got really much anywhere else in the stack or most of the time, but there's a moment here where, like, the couple of remaining X-Men that are able to fight are Wolverine, because he's Wolverine. You got Emma Frost in her diamond state, so that she is mostly impervious to the Xenomorphs. And then you got Armor, who's got armor, except we find out Mr. Sinister has given himself various other mutant powers, including Nightcrawler's powers. So the Mr. Sinister Xenomorph bamfs inside Armor's armor and rips her apart. At that point, I was literally like, shit, I cannot believe this is happening. It's great. And
it was an oh shit moment, and I agree. And they kept, kind of leveling it up, like what can beat a sinister alien? Oh, okay, maybe a Venom alien, so it was fun, kind of like there was levels to it, which I appreciated. You know what I mean? The action was great. The art was worth it for that. So I just feel like this was a blast and a lot of kind of oh shit popcorn moments.
Great time dashing. I love the moment when they flash back to Iron Man when he's killed and he's like, you know what to do, talking to Miles Morales, and he's like, yes. And then he's like, not you. And he's talking to the Venom that Miles is wearing. I was like, that was very cool. And another sort of strange compliment I think goes to both Hickman and Esad on the art is the old versions of these characters were some of my favorite that I've seen. Like, the characters feel both older, but they aged in a more real way rather than just getting more scars. And they seem like nice. They aged in a heroic way. Mm-hmm. And I think that is very rarely done, and that was very cool in this comic.
The only thing I will say, though, is this is probably the least tied up Hickman book ever.
Yeah, that's why I enjoyed it. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, well, all I'm saying is, as a miniseries, this is not the end of the story. Like, they don't really wrap up any of the engineer stuff. They don't wrap up any of the multiverse stuff, which is fine, but I'm not quite sure what the arc of the story we were telling here, other than Earth is lost, they leave Earth, they lose Mars, and they're like, well, time to head to a new place. So
that is like the Aliens movies, especially the more recent ones. So I think that's a purposeful choice and will hopefully lead to more.
All right. Krypto, the Last Dog of Krypton, #1 from DC Comics, written by Ryan North, art by Mike Norton. This is jumping back in time to show us a revamped and expanded version of Krypto's origin, how he got to Earth, what happened to him next. And this is delightful and lovely and as heartbreaking as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, really? First off, amazing cover that we're seeing here. But yeah, I was.
Do you want to describe anything about it, Pete? Or?
No, I don't. I was just going to say, like, when I picked this up, I was like,
it's the one that's on the beginning. It's on the front, so you can just get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
just
just
describe it.
When I picked this up, I was thinking maybe this will be like it's Jeff, like a little bit more
I
lighthearted.
just want to mention for any of our audio listeners, we also have a video version that's posted on YouTube where you can see what the fuck Pete's talking about. Go ahead, Pete.
Okay. Great. Yeah, and I just think that, like, I was expecting one thing, but I was surprised at the levels and the depth of Krypto and what I kind of learned a little bit. So I was expecting more fluff, but I was kind of blown away by all the other stuff that was in here.
So you feel like it puffed the fluff.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way of wording that. That makes no sense.
That makes no sense. Great point from the man who originally said that quote. Let's also, one other advantage of watching the video podcast is you get to see Alex really annoyed when Pete doesn't describe the cover.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of show here, folks, is what we're saying.
Yeah,
a lot of show.
There's a lot of pulling faces and things going on.
And it's all, and I'm being completely 100% honest here, it is all natural. We do wear our hearts on our sleeves and react big time in real time. And that's the beauty of video podcasting. This is one of the most necessary books, I feel like, of the week.
What?
Like, I think coming into Summer of Superman and the movie, like, we need some Krypto establishing. Because I think Krypto is a character in the comics and everywhere, really, where it's like, wait, where did he come from again? How did he... Because Superman famously traveled alone. So it's like, how does he have a super dog? And because he is going to be in the movie in a seemingly big role, I feel like this is actually essential reading leading into the movie. And the fact that it is so good that Ryan North is able to just, like, jump back and forth between the big two companies and do some great storytelling everywhere is awesome. I thought this was very emotional. There is a last page reveal that I bet I could feel Alex rolling his eyes at.
No, I liked how it was executed.
Really?
Yeah, I hear you. I normally don't like it, but this worked for me. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Mike Norton's art, which I think has really grown. I was rereading Revival because of the show, and just there's such a palpable difference in his art there, which was good, and here, which is just more refined. This is probably down to the inking as well. The lines are thicker. The coloring is obviously a little different as well, but really good stuff. There's a page here of Krypto cuddling a baby Kal-El that...
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Stick with me forever. Delightful. Good stuff. Star Trek Omega, #1 from IDW, written by Christopher Cantwell, Collin Kelly, and Jackson Lanzing. Art by Oleg Chudakov, Joe Eisma, Mike Feehan, Tess Fowler, Angel Hernandez, Liana Kangas, Megan Levens, Travis Mercer, Ramon Rosana, Rachael Stott, Erik Tamayo, David Tinto, and Marcus Toe. This is the final issue of this current era of IDW Star Trek comics. So it's not just tying up the loose ends from the Lore War crossover, but also paying tribute to the whole universe that they played with in both Star Trek and Star Trek Defiant. And per the long artist list, I believe the idea was probably to bring back as many of, if not all of the artists who have worked on these books across the board. So it's very much an art jam as we check in with the characters throughout the universe. I know we've generally been really enjoying the Lore War. How did you feel about this wrap-up?
If you like loose threads, man, is this a read for you. This comic ties up more loose threads than I felt even possible. Bringing in characters that haven't been a part of the run too much. Jean-Luc Picard rolling up and being like, you know what I do have to say is a lot right now. I thought it was nice. It was crazy. I was like, I guess I didn't realize that they weren't doing anymore until the end. But I was like, guys, I don't think leave some on the field here, guys. We don't need to close every loop, but they certainly do here. And it was satisfying. I wish there was more. I wish that this actually brought a close to sort of the lore war stuff and maybe a little bit of it. And then we did like a one-shot or something to sort of tie up the universe and give it a little shape. Because it was literally just like wrapping up Worf and then jumping over to another. Like it just was like, it was such a montage. And I feel like it could have been just a little bit more. Because the beginning of this run, this whole series of runs, was such a swing, and I think they could have ended on a swing as well.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I also think like they did such a great job that I'm glad they kind of took the lap on this. I mean, I was very touched by the old friends hug there. That was great. There was some cool stuff to kind of see and do, kind of sit in the fact that we had some fun here on this run, and this was really cool. So,
and you don't really like Star Trek, right?
No, not really. This is kind of the most I've liked it.
It's crazy that you like this because this is so dense, deep into every Star Trek TV series.
That was the only thing that really held me up about it, because we're tying up this run, but setting it up in a way where these characters are in different places from the TV shows and the movies and everything. And this is mostly on me, but I spent a lot of time being like, how does this fit in? How does this work with this thing? Where they end up? I don't totally remember that. So, yeah, to the point that you're making, Justin, I felt like there could have been more of a plot over the course of this comic as they wrap things up versus rather the montage nature of checking in with everybody. Because, like, I don't know, if you see Star Trek Picard, you eventually know where he ends up. So unless we're specifically setting up a new series or something like that, it didn't feel as necessary. But it's an epilogue, so it's cool.
And it definitely felt like they could be setting up any number of things. Like it almost felt like a reunion of the original TNG crew on a new Enterprise, potentially. But and there was one moment. Did they say that they were going to Will and Deanna's wedding?
I think they did.
I was like, what? That's not.
No, wait. Is he William Riker?
Oh, yes. Okay, great.
Yes.
Because it was
You
Crusher.
thought it was Will Wheaton?
Yes,
I
really
also,
did.
in my head, I was like, Will Wheaton and Deanna.
And I was like, right, that's not his name.
Yeah, that's confusing. They should have named the character William Riker. I agree. Invincible Universe Battle Beast #2 from Skybound.
It should have been just Riker.
I know. That would have made more sense. I agree. Invincible Universe Battle Beast #2 from Skybound and Image Comics, written by Robert Kirkman, art by Ryan Ottley. Battle Beast is traveling all over the galaxy trying to find somebody worthy of fighting him. Along for the ride are a spaceship that hates him and a half-eaten little guy. And in this issue, a half-eaten little guy convinces them to get him a body, and Battle Beast fights a bunch of battles. And tying into our whole Star Trek thing, the Invincible Universe version of the Star Trek The Next Generation crew shows up. So that was fun.
Yep, that was funny.
I was like, I forgot they did that back in Invincible, but cool.
Yeah, speaking of funny, I thought I was impressed with how much I enjoyed this and kind of laughed. I mean, that spaceship hating Battle Beast was a hilarious kind of joke at the end. If you're jonesing for some Invincible right now, missing the show, this is a perfect little pick-me-up. I was very happy to be kind of back in this world. Battle Beast is a great character. I very much enjoy Battle Beast, so yeah, I thought this was awesome. Tons of action, incredible art. This is an absolute blast.
You know, the first issue I wanted more from. This issue I actually enjoyed a bit more than the first, and I feel like it settled into a nice thing. Building up the ensemble a bit when you have a character that is so, like, blank as Battle Beast, where he's just like,
how dare you.
All he says is like, I want to kill and then die. Can I kill or die or eat? And then even in this issue, he's like, I don't even need to eat. I just like it. And I was like, what? It's the stakes are this Battle Beast seems to be constantly lowering his personal stakes. But fortunately, the ensemble characters have a lot of stakes and are like, I hate you. I'm trying to kill you, and I'm lying to you always. I'll die if I can just kill you. That's cool, and the half-eaten guy is interesting. All the characters we meet are interesting. So, I think they're building this out in a way that is working.
Godzilla versus Avengers, #1 from Marvel, written by David Walker, art by Georges Jeanty. As with every issue of this series of one-shots, we're jumping forward in time. Here, this takes place during the New Avengers era. So we get the New Avengers remembering a mission they went on that brought them into conflict with both Fin Fang Foom and Godzilla. Pete, you seem pretty psyched about this, so take it away.
Yeah, this is just a lot of fun and a blast, and as we see here, a very cool cover that I won't describe. It's just, classic. Godzilla is the best of all the heroes. Marvel and DC can come up with all the stuff that they can, but Godzilla is the best. So this is just awesome, kind of proving that once again,
What?
Anytime.
Godzilla does nothing in this comic.
What are you talking about? He saves the day and then swims away. That's his whole deal.
He does not do that.
Yes, he does.
The only thing he does is burn half of Wolverine's body. Is really the only significant thing that
Which
Godzilla
takes
does.
him an extraordinarily long period of time to heal.
Yeah, it was kind of weird the way how slowly that was growing back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love the action and the art in this. This is just fun.
I like this actually. I thought that shifting the tone and making it very comedic. There are a lot of good jokes in this, I feel like.
Fin Fang Foom is great.
Yep, and there's just some real trash. I mean, Fin Fang Foom is definitely way more of a character in this than Godzilla, which I guess is fine. As long as you seem fine with it, Pete, I'm fine.
I am fine with it. Yeah,
great.
I'm a huge fan of both of them.
Yeah, they should be friends. They
I
almost
agree.
are. But I liked the sort of subplots. I like the robot building team in this. The choice of having this be the New Avengers was also strange, but I like these characters. It was nice to see them hanging out again.
Great.
Absolute Flash, #4 from DC Comics, written by Jeff Lemire, art by A.L. Kaplan. In this issue, Wally and Grodd, his little psychic monkey, are on the run, and they end up in Iron Heights, where we meet a bunch of different familiar but different characters, including Linda Park, who we know in the mainline universe is married to Wally West, so probably some romance going on there. Also, Ralph Dibny, who runs a shelter for homeless or lost kids. And beyond that, lots of other stuff getting packed in there, including what seems to be a gender-swapped version of Eobard Thawne. We meet this universe's version of Heatwave. There's teases of the Wizard, Firestorm, other characters. Plus, beyond all that, we get some tie-ins with Absolute Superman. We see some Omega Men graffiti in the background. There's mentions of Lazarus Corp. It's all coming together, folks.
Can I talk about why I love this?
No, we don't usually do that on this podcast.
Okay. Well,
it's mostly me describing the books, you saying great cover but not describing it. Justin makes a joke, and then we move on.
Yeah, I was
Alex,
just
don't
so
give
happy.
away the magic.
I was just so happy about this Flash book because it wasn't really about Flash at all. Like it was, but it wasn't like Speed Force. There wasn't.
What are you reading? What are
there
you doing?
wasn't.
You're like, this book was so
treadmill.
Godzilla. There's no Godzilla in it. You're like, this book barely figures the Flash, and it's like
Yeah,
he's
I
all
loved
Flash.
it. Dude, no, but this was great because it wasn't like this was just about like a kid trying to kind of put his life back together, and then we kind of got like this stuff about Grodd, his pet monkey, and then the creepy guy who didn't turn out to be a pedo. So like all W's, you know what I mean? So like I was just super impressed with this. Also, the art was great, and I was like, this was a perfect Flash for me because it wasn't too much about Flash and over talking Speed Force and bullshit. So I had a blast.
I just imagine a young child listening to Pete's review of these comics and just, I guess, actively weeping. Just like really crying about what this mean man is saying about Flash. Because I will say, in the past, I was the mean man about this series. I was sort of down on it in the first issue, but it's really grown on me. I really enjoyed this issue. It has a different, the art gives it a little bit of a lighter tone than other Absolute books in a good way, and we are getting into more establishing of the rogues and whatnot. So it feels a little lighter. It has almost like Mad Max, or I'm trying to pin what sci-fi thing or movie thing that this book is reminding me of, and I can't quite get my finger on it, but I am really enjoying
artificial intelligence.
That could be. Boy, what a loaded movie name.
Guardians of the Galaxy a little bit.
Interesting. But this is really good. I enjoy this.
G.I. Joe, number 8 from Skybound at Image Comics, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Andrea Milana. In this issue, Baroness is taking a little trip off-site to go to Paris. CoverGirl is along for the ride, and things go predictably wrong thanks to Harvey Birdman, attorney-at-law. Is that correct, Pete?
I believe that's where he came from.
Oh my God, hilarious! Yeah, this is just great. Baroness, as we all know, very sneaky. She's always got plans on plans. You always got to keep your eye on her, because if you're not looking, she's off, talking shit and come up with different plans. So I was very excited about this. Also, the kind of raptor major blood reveal at the end was pretty amazing, so I was geeking out about that. My childhood is still having a blast with this mashup between Transformers and G.I. Joe, and I'm just this is just like my Sandbox come to life, so I'm enjoying the fuck out of this.
Sandbox coming to life, very terrifying for a child. Let me say.
I did like the moment. What's the name of the dude who picked up the Transformer in the free comic book day special?
Clutch?
Sure.
I don't.
He drives a car. It's probably brakes, probably.
Brakes.
No.
Gear shift.
Oh, gas cap?
Oh, this is awful.
And engine. Tailpipe.
Dr.
Tailpipe.
Tires?
Yeah, that was it. When Dr. Tires is talking to, I want to say Duke, but I'm honestly not sure. And Duke's like, hey, where did that car come from? And he's like, I just found it around. Don't worry about it. That moment, I was like, oh, okay, so you're an elite military base. This dude who has been taken in by Cobra, your arch enemy, for several months, brings an unknown car onto your base, and you're like, no questions here.
Well, that's the thing.
It's a little sketchy.
When someone shows up in a car, you're like, hey, where'd you get that? It's
if you're a military base, and
it's a military car.
I guess.
Yeah, but
Jeep.
the thing is, nobody's suspicious of a car. No one's like, well, that car better not transform later. You know what I mean?
Pete, be honest with me. You think every car is a Transformer until proven otherwise, right?
That's true. That's true.
It must be hard since so many people have little Decepticon stickers on their cars.
Oh, man, I get very excited about that.
Yeah, you got to put your finger on it to find out what it is.
What?
You guys didn't have that? You put your finger on it, and then we reveal whether it was a Decepticon.
Alex, stop touching strangers' cars.
Never.
What I was going to say about this is I do like the relationship between Clutch and his car, whose name should also be Clutch, if I had my way. But it's also funny because they're talking. He's like, hey, man, I'm in front of my friends. Can you not transform into a giant robot? Mm-hmm. He's like, 1 second. I only like to talk when I'm in giant robot form. He's like, that's the one thing I said not to do. It's such a buddy comedy, little scene in the middle of this. Meanwhile, we've got Baroness and CoverGirl, our Betty and Veronica, just out and out having their fun times. The original Betty and Veronica, I say. I've always wanted to date a Baroness, you know?
Yes. And Archie is a G.I. Joe, is that correct?
No, there's no Archie in this comic. Archie's probably a person we haven't met yet.
Cobra Commander takes off
his name's like Jeff.
I'm Archie! Well, we'll see. Wait. Jeff the Land Shark, number 1 from Marvel, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Toki Tokoro. This is the first mini-series for Jeff that we've gotten, who has become incredibly popular thanks to Marvel Rivals. There's been a digital comic for a while, but here Jeff breaks into Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum and creates a Shadow Jeff that is terrorizing the Marvel Universe, so he's going after him. Very cute book, as expected, I thought. What did you fellows think?
Yeah, it's cute. I feel like
too much Jeff in this Jeff book, Pete.
Hates
yeah,
Jeff.
I mean, well, it got a little crazy with the Shadow Jeff and all that kind of stuff. I don't know.
The plot, you mean?
Yeah, I got a little too plotty in my adorable Jeff book. I just wanted him to kind of just be cute and.
You like the shorts where he just he steps on a skateboard and he's like, "Whoa!" and that's the end.
Yeah, exactly. And he has a nap. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
Jeff is sort of a style icon.
They're trying to do something different, though. Like on the digital shorts, which mostly are like comic strips, they can do that. Here, we have a 4-issue series. You have to try something different format-wise.
Well, and I do like... Yeah,
it's a very light plot. Like, it's not a heavy plot. It's he creates a shadow Jeff and then runs it to Deadpool, and Deadpool does some shenanigans for him for a while. He's like, well, good luck with that shadow Jeff. And that's pretty much the whole plot.
Yeah. The Deadpool stuff, I don't know. It felt strange to me that Deadpool was the character choice for this, but I guess he's popular. I did like the first half, though. The two snakes, very like... the Siamese cats from Lady and the Tramp, or the eels from Little Mermaid. Nice foils for Jeff trying to just screw around in Doctor Strange's house. So that was very cool.
Just a note, Jeff was in the Deadpool comic, so I think
makes
that's
sense.
probably where that came from.
Well, they talk about, like, we're sort of friends, but I was like, they both seem like they're not friends.
Regardless, if you have a kid, they're probably going to love this. Superman Unlimited #2 from DC Comics, written by Dan Slott, art by Rafael Albuquerque.
Hey,
Last issue, Superman was knocked down for a couple of months, I think, thanks to a kryptonite meteor, which has changed the world economy overnight. We find out this issue and created a new city that is nicknamed the Emerald City that uses kryptonite as their currency. Meanwhile, Superman has new gold powers that basically, as somebody jokes in the issue, give him like a Super Mario star power-up for a short amount of time, but then deplete all of his powers, unlike Super Mario. What'd you guys think about this?
I think we have an interesting opportunity on our hands here. We have Dan Slott writing this book, and right next to Mark Waid writing his title. And I think those two writers work similarly. They're a bit different, but to see them right next to each other is interesting, I think. And it had me thinking about their different styles. It feels like Mark Waid, a little more nostalgic, a little more Americana, winsomeness to the character. And these are all positive takes. And then Dan Slott, it feels like he's very meticulous. He's setting some pieces in place. He's moving characters around, bringing in this kryptonite guy who is... Everyone feels like they're just getting ready. They're slowly walking towards Superman. Meanwhile, he's like, I'm gold now. A risky move. Famously, when you change the color of Superman, people no happy. But here we are doing it. But I'm interested. I think it's a lot of cool ideas at play here.
I definitely think there's some interesting ideas at play. You know, Superman getting this kind of like power up and then fading fast is kind of a new and interesting thing for him. So also the Kirky's art is just great. Anytime you say the Kirky, I am there, because he just does amazing art. I was a little kind of over the play on crypto, currency, crypto nights. I was like, I'm a little over crypto a little bit with that, but I do think that this is kind of an interesting idea to kind of play out in Superman's world here with this gold Superman kind of thing.
I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer, #3 from Image Comics, written by Doug Wagner, art by Daniel Hilliard. This is following, per the title, a fashion school student who is also a serial killer and makes her clothes out of everybody's flesh and bones. But this issue, she's trying to just live her life and be a fashion designer and have friends. But of course, everything goes horribly wrong by the end here, bringing back her old tendencies. This series is great. It's funny. It's creepy. One thing that I totally didn't pick up on is her name is Rennie Bathory, which is Lady Bathory, was the Bloody Baroness, one of the first serial killers, I believe, recorded in history. So that's the reference that they're making here, I think. But the character dynamics are really good, and it just continues to be fun. Even in an issue where she's holding back and not killing anybody, you can feel that tension throughout there. So really digging this series.
That's the thing, the age-old question. Can a serial killer just have some fun and be happy? And I don't know if that's
that was Cyndi Lauper originally called the song that, and then they're like, "You can't do that," and she was like, "I'll fucking kill you."
Can a serial killer have some fun? Oh, they just want to have fun. I enjoy this. The way that this book, like the first 2 issues, were very much like we're watching this person who has a compulsion to kill. And in this issue, I feel like really brought her down to earth and had us really get on board with her. And it's an interesting structure I found to, not start with like that identifying with a protagonist, a murderous protagonist. In this, it's really like, look, she's trying to succeed in the difficult industry. And then the old game comes back, and she surely will kill again someone who is being annoying. Mm-hmm. I think that guy needs to die. I'm with her.
Wow. Pro serial killer in fashion school. All right. I see how it is, bro.
It's a stressful place.
It's very stressful, and you gotta be able to stick out, but this is, I feel like that's not the way to go. You know what I mean?
Killing?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love a really nice human skin suit, though?
No.
Just think about like
why would you? You don't like your skin?
I mean, you're wearing leather pants, Pete. It's just a slightly different type of leather. Imagine having a second bit of skin.
Is a different type of leather, bro. I don't think that's...
It is if it's human leather.
Yeah.
Are you wearing human leather, Pete?
No.
Right.
I would love... Hey, Pete, and stop me if this sounds weird, but can I have some of your skin when you die? Just a little bit. I want to make a little hat. A little leather hat.
Don't take too much, though, because I want to keep the podcast going, and what I'm going to do is blow Pete's skin up like a balloon. So
a leather balloon.
I love how Alex has already got plans leather balloon for my corpse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll just pull some old quotes and replay them. Like, pretty good cover.
Bananas. We're actually going to stick a parrot in Pete's skin balloon, and it'll basically be the same thing. Sorry, Ouch. Pete, but it's true. It's true. Star Wars.
Alex, the parrot keeps eating the skin balloon. What are we going to do?
I argue that would be the rule for any one of us.
Yeah, actually, Cyndi Lauper just had an interesting op-ed about this, so let me read it.
Yes, true. She is really leaning into that.
Star Wars Dr. Aphra Chaos Agent #1 from Marvel, written by Cherish Chen, art by Gabriel Guzman. We are now set in the post-Return of the Jedi era, so Dr. Aphra doesn't have Darth Vader to kick her around anymore or any of her regular cast. Instead, she's paired with her parole officer, who is Luke Skywalker, and they are on the path of a dangerous artifact in this issue. What do you think about the return of Dr. Aphra?
The Force Glove is out there, which can give people some Force powers by slipping on a glove, like a glove. I mean, Dr. Aphra, like a character created for the comics, I feel like it's rare to have a character so far in the Star Wars comic universe really find some truck and find an audience. So it is cool to follow up with her. There's clearly a push to make her more of a hero, or at least like someone who isn't just doing bad stuff all the time. So I like this push, giving her, like having Luke Skywalker come in and push her into this new role. And it feels like he actually maybe won't be part of the main ensemble, or at least will have a smaller role. So I like where this is going. I like the setup here.
Yeah, this is interesting. I love the art and action. I mean, it was a little bit of like, oh, Luke's here. Oh, he's going to save the day a little bit. And I was like, I don't know if I trust this guy, as a mentor. I don't think he has a very good track record. So
you don't trust Luke
yet. You're talking about what happened with Kylo Ren.
You're damn right I am.
But that's down the road. That hasn't happened yet. He did a good job with Grogu.
Did he?
Yeah. I think so. Did you see in the book of Boba Fett, the place where that happens for some reason?
Well, I'm just saying.
Did Pete see the book of Boba Fett?
Boba Fett did more of a job than Luke did, I feel like. You know what I mean?
He wasn't even around then. Boba.
Yes.
In Grogu.
Sorry, I don't know if anybody could hear that. I said something about it, and the Alexa device behind me was like, "Oh, that happened in episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett."
Oh, wow. What an embarrassing thing for Alexa to say.
I thought that was
Alexa's like, I've been trying to tell someone about this for so long. No one asked about this.
Anything you want to know about the middle episodes of Secret Invasion? Happy to offer that up as well. This is good. I agree with you. I like the push and pull. I was worried that they were going to turn Dr. Aphra into a full-on hero. They straddled the line very nicely here. I do think it's weird, unless this happened in another comic and I missed it, that they didn't have a conversation about Darth Vader, because that's the one thing that connects them, and he just died recently. So I'm surprised that didn't come up, but maybe next issue.
Maybe next issue.
That is funny that they like, she's just like, hey, farm boy. It's like, I know I worked very extensively with your father, and he died, and you had a whole pretty dramatic situation with him. Maybe they don't know that about each other.
Maybe not. Maybe it'll come up later. I Heart Skull Crusher, number 10 from Boombox, written by Josie Campbell, art by Alessio Zano. This is the final issue of this arc, as the whole team is fighting for the survival of the world, basically, as they've discovered a big secret that Queen Mob has been keeping a bunch of water from the world. In case you're not familiar, by the way, there's a bunch of death games that are going on, and they've been, of course, targeted for death. There's twists, there's turns, there's heartbreaking deaths in this issue. Big stuff going down.
Well, and in this world, they're paid in water.
Yeah.
So.
That's
smart.
Yeah.
And if you want to support us with water, patreon.com/comicbookclub/water. You'll take all the water you can, because the water wars, they're coming.
We believe in the water wars. Send a balloon or a bottle or a light rainstorm if you have that capacity.
I'm Team Fiji.
Really?
Oh, wow. So
wow,
fancy.
Fancy.
Well. Yeah.
Basically, you live in the country, and you're like, I love Fiji water.
Fiji water.
That's right.
Me.
What do you say, Alex? You're in the store. What bottle are you grabbing?
I mean, honestly, whatever is cheapest, probably a Poland Spring. Those are usually $1, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
I just want
if
the
I'm
one
at
with
an
the
airport Aquafina.
Really?
Yes.
Why? Why you're paying up a little bit in the airport?
Yeah, it's sturdier, so I feel safer taking it onto the plane versus a Poland Spring. I'm like, that's gonna be crushed to a bloody pulp.
You're gonna be watching something and go, and it's gonna just
no. When you're on the plane, because of the changes in pressure, often the water bottles will end up being like crushed slightly. I've had one not burst, but definitely leak a bit because of that.
Leak a bit. Another tragedy befalling Mr. Alexander Zalman. I go for the one with the most microplastics, and
there you go.
They always know.
So you gotta be liquid death because they're metal, bro. Fucking metal, bro.
That's not plastic, but sure, yes.
That'd be hard to carry on. Would feel weird about carrying that on a plane, and I don't think they have those in airports.
Yeah. What I usually do, if I can't get an Aquafina, is I have a little water gun that I fill with water that I can hydrate myself, and so I'll take it out like right in the middle of the plane and be like, "Anybody
That's a
wants
horrible
some
idea.
Who wants
some water?
Who wants some?" I'll say, just very loud.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, good book.
I agree.
This comic.
I this comic is great. I love the tone that the art style has. And I mean this in a great way. It's a cartoonish kind of lightness to it, and
manga influenced.
Yeah. I love the action. This is just such a great vibe about this. Also, that sword drop scene was crazy.
It was cool. The other thing about this is, of all of these issues we've talked about with this comic, I have really enjoyed it. It's built really nicely. It has a nice, aggressive, just narrative propulsion to it. This issue felt a little rushed or something. Mm-hmm. And I do like where it ended up, and I think the next arc is going to be really interesting and a departure. But it felt like the story was suddenly like, I'm sick of the murder ball stuff, so let's just get to this next thing. When I was like, I think you're building to this whole murder ball end here, and we don't quite get that in this issue. But I continue to enjoy this series.
Benjamin, number 1 from Oni Press, written by Ben H. Winters, art by Leo Max. We had Ben H. Winters on the show a few weeks back talking about this comic, so check out that chat with him. But this is about an author who died years ago. Suddenly wakes up in a motel, alive, teams up with this dude who was a fan of his books, and trying to figure out why he's back, what's going on, and what is next for him. I'll tell you what, usually we get the books in advance before we interview the author. We had a look at some of the pages, but I hadn't actually read this before we talked to Ben H. Winters. This is not what I expected for the book. I liked it, but it's very, he was describing it as Philip K. Dick. It feels much more Coen Brothers to me. Just sort of like hanging out, bumming around, figuring out some stuff, seeing where it all lays.
And just being like conversationally driven. It's very much like, hey, what if we talked about this for a little while? Let's look through this stuff. And people are drawn into the world by just talking to other people. It also feels very haphazard, the way characters bang into each other, in very much a Coen Brothers way. So that's a good call. But I do enjoy this. I do think the main inspiration is more that Philip K. Dick type character. I bet we're going to get more of that later on. But for this part, it does feel like we're just sort of tipping into the larger reference point that Ben was talking about on the show.
Yeah, I also get a little Hunter S. Thompson vibes from it a little bit. Yeah, interesting kind of tripped out world here that does a great job of grabbing the reader and not letting go, which I really appreciate. Yeah, I think this is an interesting idea and very well executed artistically wise. Like the different kind of things that he's seeing versus the reality is interesting. Also, what are the odds an author's dies, then comes back at a hotel right next to one of his biggest fans? You know, I mean, that's just, I mean,
that's what fandom's all about, baby.
Wow.
It's great to have fans.
It is.
Whenever you wake up from an early death, there they are.
Pete, do you think that's going to happen to you after we skin you and turn you into a balloon? You'll wake up near one of the fans of the podcast.
I hope it's stray bullies. That way I can eat like a king.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That's really nice. Eat, interesting. And let's remember, we're allotting a lot of his skin for the balloon, but I am getting some to make my head.
Yes, of course.
We're sharing.
Of course, I would never forget that. I appreciate you and I respect you, Justin.
Just give me a leg, you know?
Give me a leg. You're a leg man? Bring on the bad guys. Doom #1 from Marvel,
cover.
written by Mark Guggenheim, art by Stefano Raphael. This is the first of a series of one-shots, all focusing on villains in the Marvel Universe, telling the story of a artifact that Mephisto wants. It ties into some big bad guys, starting with Dr. Doom, who also wants that artifact, and introducing a new villain, Sister Sorrow, I want to say her name is, who is Mephisto's sort of daughter.
He even calls her that. He's like, "You're my daughter, mostly." I was like, "What?"
Anyway, Pete, you seem to like this, or at least the cover.
Yeah, epic cover. I thought I was having a great time until Mephisto showed up. But I do think the art's unbelievable and the action's great. I'm going to keep checking this out. It's just like, oh man, this guy again.
Well, I was a little confused. This story does feel like it is a bigger story than one issue about Doom. This is pivoting to the next title, which is Bring on the Bad Guys, Green Goblin. And we're continuing this Soul Dagger thing, and I guess Doom's going to also show up there.
I'm trying to think of a politic way. It is not to my taste the way that Marvel does these one-shots that are a mini-series, but they keep releasing #1s. It's a cosmetic thing, but I think it's needlessly confusing. Because exactly what you're saying, if this was Bring on the Bad Guys issue 1, that would be of 6. That would be a different thing than Bring on the Bad Guys Doom #1, and the next issue is Bring on the Bad Guys Green Goblin #1. It just implies something different.
Have you ever thought that maybe they do that because #1 issues might, I don't know, sell more? Or
what?
Something?
Yes. They do?
Do know that, but I think
it
is a trick, and it's a bad one because it is not immediately grabbing the person versus doing a 6-issue miniseries that, I understand the goal here is to get your quick hit sales in the store, and then you collect it in a trade that's called Bring On the Bad Guys, and that's fine. But I think that is a bad experience for customers. If I came in randomly to a comic shop and I was like, oh, Green Goblin, I like him from the Spider-Man movie, and I picked that up, I could be like, I don't know what's going on. I mean, obviously we don't know because we haven't read it. Maybe Mark Guggenheim does a great job of getting you up to speed and whatever, but it is confusing to be like, that's the second issue.
When this issue spent so much time explaining what soul daggers are and why they're important, I feel like, unless they're going to literally do that again, you're going to need a little backstory.
That's what I'm saying.
Into the
is
Green Goblin.
Versus calling it Bring On the Bad Guys #2. Again, It is a very small complaint, but I feel like it comes off to me as the same as it's like comic book clickbait is basically what it is. Like, oh, that's the #1 issue about Green Goblin, but it's not.
We should change the name of our podcast to that. Just like, let's put a pin in that. Let's put a pin in that. Let's put a pin in that for our next big meeting.
People like clickbait, and they like clicking on clickbait.
Oh, I love clickbait, exactly. Well, fish love worms. That's why it's bait. It's not like they hate worms. They don't walk around. They just swim around.
And there's always a good result at the end there.
Exactly. That's why I love clickbait. Yep. I'm like, yum, yum. Nothing more to see here. Yank. The thing with this is the only other light complaint here is like, we're in one world under Doom. And to lead out on Bring On the Bad Guys with this, I was like, oh, this is a completely unrelated Doom to One World Under Doom. So it is also a strange starting point. It puts you in a slightly different mindset, I think. Though for a classic Doom story, I do like this. The use of what's his name?
Mephisto?
No, I like the Mephisto usage. The Russian, Blonsky, Emil Blonsky. He's like, I got the dagger. I'm undercover. I'm wearing a jacket and a hat. But his like thin face is sticking out. I'm like, who do you think you're fooling? Dr. Emil Blonsky? Surely you know how to dress in disguise. That was just funny.
Just fun of comic books, the classic Superman Clark Kent.
Yeah, I might be fooled by Superman Clark Kent a little bit more than old thin-faced Blonsky walking around in a toque. Yeah.
Do you think
a lot of people don't look past
Abomination ever does that, and like Thing also comes in his trench coat and hat, and they're like, "Oh, who are you, normal person?"
Yep.
And they're just sort of talking back and forth. That'd be fun.
Like, I know a lot of people in the world are not observant, but when you have like Donatello and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being like, I'm undercover, it's like his face has no nose and is flat and green.
You were going to say
better, guys.
I was just going to say, a lot of people don't look up, man. It's you can get away with a lot. I mean, those kids get into movie theaters all the time by just stacking on top of each other wearing a trench coat.
Yeah.
Very true.
All the time.
That's how we always got into R-rated movies.
That's right.
Yeah,
still,
to this day. We still do it. Yeah. We could get in.
Yeah, but we already had the trench coat. We already invested in the trench coat.
I mean, once you get a giant trench coat, you're in.
Trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, we each have our roles, obviously. Alex is on the bottom, Pete's in the middle.
Well, because I have the most shoulder strength in terms of holding the two of you up.
Definitely, that's something we've established through the years. We were ripped abs, for sure. Pete, huge torso energy, loves to hold the popcorn.
Well,
that's sort of the face of the operation.
Yeah, I got to talk with my hands, otherwise we're in trouble.
Yeah, and he's really good at matching hands to conversation, and he loves to put too much butter on.
Yes, but I do appreciate the other thing that Pete is very good at as the hands is handing each of us popcorn up and down when we need it. Yeah. So thank you, Pete.
And as the face and mouth, I'm always saying, like, just got to put some popcorn in my crotch for 1 second, because that's when we feed Alex through the zipper. Through the zipper in the pants.
Otherwise, they'd be like, whoa, what's going on there?
Yeah.
Anyway,
crotch corn. Anybody else want some crotch corn, I say, to cover our asses?
Wonder Woman number 22 from DC Comics, written by Tom King, art by Caitlin Yarsky. This is a flashback issue that is establishing who Mouseman is. We got a tease at the end of the last big arc that the Amazonian baby has been taken to Mouseman's Island. He seems to be a whole fascist ruler now. We flash back in time here to not only see after Steve and Diana's first night together, but also what led Mouseman to be taken in by the Sovereign. Another great issue of this title, and I was very excited to see Caitlin Yarsky on art. Always love her stuff, and I think she draws a great and very romantic Steve and Diana.
Yes, I love this.
The romance.
Love the romance. This was awesome. It's nice to be able to spend some time, especially early on in the relationship, with Wonder Woman and Steve. And just hilarious the way she's kind of handling things. I mean, the fact that, like, they're talking as she's fighting her way through, and then, like, the fact that she compliments how well he listens, and the fact that, like, she just takes out the bad guy with her kind of like boomerang headset thing. So it was just a blast.
The details that Tom King is providing here are just excellent. Like, Wonder Woman has folded Steve's clothes after they hook up, and she has to go fight some giant mice. Very fun. All the other details of the relationship, very cool. And is the Mouse Man and all the mice a January 6th analog? Is that what we're doing here? That was my takeaway.
Could be.
And it felt like if we're doing the later, this Mouse Man is radicalized fascist. This is like the goofy entryway into being that way, which I thought was, a clever sort of way of getting to that and telling us a satirical story, sort of in under the guise of a rom-com, a fun rom-com.
Yeah, and I will bring up here just as a little side note, because I don't think we talked about it on the live show, but they also announced this week that there's going to be a Mr. Miracle animated series that is showrun by Tom King, and Mitch Gerads is working on art and design for the show. So that's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Exquisite Corpses, #2 from Image Comics, written by Michael Walsh with James Tynion IV, art by Mariana Ignazi with Michael Walsh. Last issue, we were introduced to a secret cabal that has been running the United States and potentially the world for centuries at this point. And every year, to decide who's in power, they send a bunch of crazy people into a small town, and whoever survives at the end, that faction gets the power over everything. So we're following a bunch of crazy serial killers and a bunch of people trapped in the town, and also the people on the outside. I think we all really liked the first issue, but we're surprised how much it was introducing. How do you think that all panned out in issue 2?
More. There's more happening here all the time, and it is a lot to juggle. But it's definitely done, I think, and the art is great. It does feel a little bit like I'm white-knuckling through the story a bit, and that may be intentional because it is that kind of story. There's the intrigue. It has the Squid Game kind of behind-the-scenes stuff where the billionaires are having courtroom intrigue happening between them, while you're having all the people outside just barely escaping being victims or becoming victims in the very near future.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an awesome title, creepy as fuck, but yeah, very kind of interesting and weird and really freaks me the fuck out, but I'm still enjoying it.
Just the title? Oh, are you saying the title like the comic? I thought you meant literally the title was creeping you out, Exquisite Corpses.
Well, yes, it does,
okay.
But it's also a cool title for a comic, but it does really creeps me the fuck out, especially when you got people wearing skin and stuff like that.
Interesting, another skinwear.
Yeah, another skinwear. I don't like that this is trending in comics right now. You know what I mean?
And in reality.
Keep it trending.
And in reality.
Let's not maybe. You know what I mean?
Hottest TikTok trend with your friends.
Clothes are good. You know what I mean? There's nothing. Clothes are fine. You don't have to go to skin.
Pete, I know you said Exquisite Corpses is a creepy title, but later on in the stack, we're going to be talking about the new comic, There's a Spider on You, Pete. How do you feel about that one?
It's a living nightmare. Thank you.
Anytime. I really like this a lot. Like you said, I think the art is great. Marietta Ignazi is a great match for Michael Walsh. I do think they're balancing everything really well. And it seems like, I think the goal here is this is a pretty relatively short run for this comic as they kill off all these folks. But then they're aiming to have further seasons of this as they go forward.
Sorry.
No, I'm done.
Can we talk about something that bothered me a little bit? If we're in a store, right, and then somebody comes in, the fact that the guy just kind of hid behind the counter and didn't try to help that other guy really kind of bothered me, because it's like...
The guy who's being gutted by the man wearing skin?
Yeah.
And sorry, in that situation, you'd be like, you leave him alone, human skin guy.
Yeah, because all he's got is a fucking box cutter, and it's 2 against 1. Like, what the fuck are we doing? It's not like he's got a gun or a sword or, you know what I mean?
But, Pete, don't you think wearing human skin is an intimidating factor? Because that's why I want to make this hat out of your leg, because I want to be more intimidating.
I agree that it's intimidating to a point, but if you still just have a pinwheel to fight me with, you know what I mean? Like, fucking... Put up your dukes, let's go.
It's exactly like how all the people who carry around guns all the time in this country are always ready to go at a moment's notice. Like, if they were thrown in a situation, it'd be like, I know what to do, I have my gun, and I'm ready to use it, versus being so scared they shoot their own dicks off.
Yeah, I always think about the old trope of the good guy wearing human skin and the bad guy wearing human skin. How they're able to fight.
You lost me a little bit on the gun thing. So you're saying if a guy comes in and he's got just a box cutter and he's wearing human skin and I'm like, help, you're going to lay behind the counter and not help?
Here's what I'm saying very specifically. Is most people in this country, and I'm assuming beyond, believe that they'd be ready to go at a moment's notice if something happened.
Mark Wahlberg.
And I'd be very generous here. 99 out of 100 of those people would piss their pants and fall behind the counter. That is absolutely, including, and I'm not saying like, I'm the brave one who's taking them down. No, we would all freeze and be scared or do something like pull out our gun and shoot ourselves in the leg or get killed immediately by the human skin guy who is a professional assassin.
I would throw quarters at him at least.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you. At least while you're curled up in a ball, give me some distractions to work with. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well,
don't just cry while I'm dying slowly by a fucking box cutter.
Can I ask a question first, though, Justin? Because I know you have this ability. When you're curling up into a ball, that's so you can activate your sonic powers, right?
Yeah, exactly. You mean Sonic the Hedgehog?
Sonic the Hedgehog, yes, not Sonic the Drive-In.
Yeah. My sonic powers. I'm hungry, and I wish someone would roller skate up with some food. But I feel like what Pete's initial point was that man's job is to serve the customer, and instead of doing that, he just lays down. And as an employee, he should have gotten involved, right?
Right. So instead of to serve man, to serve man.
Yeah. Well, there was a sign in the window. I don't know if you caught it, but it said the customer is always cut into ribbons rather than right.
It actually said, you read it wrong. It said the customer is always fright.
Father's Day, we'll give it to you.
I like the added voice. I like the voice that you added.
Thank you.
It added to it.
Emma Frost, the White Queen, #1 for Marvel, written by Amy Chu, art by Andrea DeVito. This is a flashback series back to when Emma Frost was full-on White Queen of the Hellfire Club, down to the X-Men attacking to free a mutant that the Hellfire Club has taken, but it leads to a big mystery in terms of a traitor inside the club, and she's going to take him down. What'd you guys think about this throwback series? Ooh, somebody's excited.
Yeah. Great art.
Woof. Give me more of that. That was Justin, by the way, doing that because he just turned into a cartoon dog woof-woofing over this cover of Emma Frost, the White Queen. Hubba. Come on.
Alan.
What is happening?
Pete, do you anything you want to say about
I said my review already. Yeah, I'm waiting on somebody else to go.
What did you say?
You didn't say anything.
You said
I said
nothing.
It was great art.
That's all you have?
Great. Justin, do you have any thoughts beyond your weird perverted barking you just did?
Yes, thank you for calling it perverted. What I would say about this is I was surprised that we set something in this era. I would love to see a White Queen series about our White Queen. Maybe she gets engaged again to Tony Stark, something like that.
Stop pushing your agenda with her and Tony.
My quagenda. This is interesting. It's funny how much of this is like a bureaucracy, a look at the bureaucracy of the Hellfire Club, and how they have a lot of rules about how they do business.
It's fun to sit in on meetings.
But there's a little bit of I'm not quite sure what we're doing there, but I did enjoy the X-Men team coming in there. It was such a pleasure to see them. I thought the art was well done.
Yeah, I'm curious to read the second issue of this because I do really like the Hellfire Club characters. I do think that was a fun era and there were fun villains, but there's a lot going on and a lot of setup. So again, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out now that we have the inciting incident out of the way. The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, Children of the Night, #1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Tate Bromble and Bradley Clayton, art by Isaac Goodhart and Aditya Bidikar. This is first issue, but it's continuing the ongoing story of Christopher Chaos and his monster friends. It does, I think, a surprisingly good job of getting you caught up of the world of Christopher Chaos if you haven't been reading it. The big conflicts that they had in this underground Munter City are pretty much finished, at least for the time being. We get some new introductions of characters here. And there's also a backup story, which is Monsters in Love, which I assume is going to be printed the right way in the actual print copy. But the PDF we sent, it was backwards, and that took me a really long time to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Chris Chaos. I've enjoyed the stuff that's come before. I feel like there was a lot of great stuff in this. The art's amazing. The bathroom stall sex scene was a little intense
because of all the blood.
Yeah, and do werewolves die every time they have sex? Because the corpse was just laying there, but it seemed like he transformed into this.
They've already established that werewolves have horrible body horror transformations where they basically turn inside out. So I think it was not the werewolf corpse was left there. I think it gets sucked back into her body or something.
What?
Maybe I'm misremembering.
There's a little bit of motion that I think happens that is hard to tell exactly in the way it's paneled, but I did enjoy that. I like that. There's a lot of noises.
Did you like the
happening.
Blood finish on the walls? Did you think that was the part you liked?
Well, but I think I did, because I think that's one of the joys of this comic is it's very focused on character. It's very focused on romance and the interpersonal relationships, but it also has gross, over-the-top horror stuff going at all times in a very casual way that adds to the off-kilter tone of this book.
And I think later on in the book, when we have Christopher Chaos setting up a series of disasters that will eventually be his undoing, I feel like. With the robot, I was like, oh, this is another type of horror that you're laying out very cleanly here. And then you get a Doctor Who-style reveal at the beginning and then again at the end when this other character enters the fray. Which, this book is always good at blending different sci-fi styles together while in the final product combining them to create something that feels very fresh and youthful in its storytelling is very cool. This felt, obviously this is a first issue and for people that haven't been reading it, but since we had, I was like, the back half I enjoyed more because I feel like that was back to moving forward.
I really did like the jump freeze frame joke, though. There's a point
that was
when
funny,
Chris Chaos comes out of school. He's like, and this is all my friends. And he's doing a jump freeze frame. And then we go about, I think it was another page. And then the page after that, they go back in time and we see everybody else's perspective. And they're like, did he just jump freeze frame?
Yeah.
That's good joke.
Funny.
Good stuff. The New Gods, #7 from DC Comics, written by Ram V, art by Evan Cagle and Travis Moore. In this issue, the Justice League is teaming up with the New Gods to protect an even newer god. And yeah, there you go. I don't know. I really like this book, but I was thrown off by how much the new gods were pushed to the background here in favor of the Justice League characters. That's all.
Well, it was a big pivot, and I think they've done... Ram V has done a lot of just like laying out pockets, deeply mythologized pockets for the new gods. And this was sort of like the issue that got us to like, okay, so here's where it's going to happen. It's going to still happen in main DC continuity. It's just you didn't maybe expect that. So I like the move. I think it was time to pivot out of some of that more separated mythological stuff and come to what I feel like is the main story for now. Black Smoke Rising. I thought the art in this is just so good. It continues to be such a separator from other comic book work, able to absorb all these characters feel like gods. And I do think a nice connection that is maybe being made here is that the main DC superheroes are also essentially gods. So we're putting them in juxtaposition with, I think, in a good way, at the same time maybe in conflict. So that's fun. Still having a lot of big drama moves going on at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. This art style is unbelievable. This story kind of feels epic in such a great way. Fun last panel. Shit is tense, but enjoyable. I'm looking forward to more of this.
The Ultimates, number 13 from Marvel, written by Dennis Kemp, art by Juan Frigeri, picking up off of, I think it was the last issue. It might have been 2 issues ago, but probably the last issue. The Ultimates are trying something new. They're reaching out to the rest of the world and encouraging them to create an even greater, more powerful Ultimates network. And it seems to be working, except for some weird quirks are going on with Tony Stark himself, where he is creating multiple versions of himself. We know that he is eventually going to turn out to be this universe's version of Kang the Conqueror. So now we're kind of finding out more along the path to that and how that happens, which I think is very interesting. Justin, you've been a big fan of this book. How'd you feel about this issue?
Yeah, Justin.
I love it. It's camping season, and we're back in here in the Dennis camp, right where we belong, roasting wieners right over the fire. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
What I love about the way this book it's making the Ultimates into a movement, because I think the one thing that all of this Ultimate Universe has set up is like, how are they going to beat the Maker? Like, he's too good. He's been planning the attack that's going to come is. You know, we don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I think the idea is they are going to get crushed under the heel of it. And this issue is able to sort of show that through grassroots, through getting people together, they're building a movement in a way that not a lot of comics take the time to do, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, this is unbelievable art. I mean, the imagery alone in this comic, it's worth it for that. Just really impressive. I love the story and all the craziness and everything that's going on, and the thing that's kind of stayed with me the longest is this image of the kind of like Punisher logo alongside like a Nazi logo in the fire there. So that was pretty intense, but cool.
I've said this a million times, or at least 12 times, but this title is best when it's really leaning into societal issues. And per the point that you're making, Justin, what they're pushing here through a superhero lens is the way of changing the world is not having 10 people fighting and punching some guys. It's about distributing information, teaching people how to do things for themselves, getting alternative forms of communication out to people. That is the way to fight fascism. That is the way to fight an overwhelming power, is make sure all people have the information you do, rather than keeping it and holding it yourself, just like the fascists do and trying to control it. So, as always, Dennis Camp has his finger on the pulse, and I think that comes out nicely in this book. Phantom Road, number 13 from Image Comics, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Gabriel H. Walta. We're still back in time versus the current timeline of the story, finding out about this weird purgatory road, the angel egg that is carried along it. The forces are aligned against it. What'd you guys think?
This continues to be really kind of creepy and amazing artistically. I mean, this cover is so kind of like still and creepy and epic. I love it. The still creepiness that the art kind of portrays in this makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It's really awesome. It has that horror tension that jumps out of the page at you somehow. It's just really impressive. I don't know what's happening. I do know that maybe shooting an egg is a bad idea, especially if you're going to trade it later for your daughter, but we'll see.
That's how I scramble eggs. Shoot them up.
You shoot them?
Shoot them up. Bang, bang. Because it cooks them a little. And remember, Pete, it's a great time to shave the hairs on your back of your neck if they're standing up. So I would grab the buzzers and just take them down.
This is a great time for that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's almost summer, man.
You got to loosen it up. Get rid of those so you don't want a sweaty neck.
Get rid of the hair on the back of your neck.
You don't want a hot neck.
Ladies appreciate a good hairy neck, is what you're saying?
No. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying
you don't want to do that because I don't know if you know this about ladies, but they'll grab you by the hair on the back of your neck, and then they'll carry you back to their lair.
That's great. That's what I'm hoping for.
That's your dream. Yeah, Pete wants a lair.
Yeah,
no, they're gonna bite your head.
He
off.
wants a lair maven.
They're gonna
lair maven out
bite
there.
your head off.
Phantom Road is. I do enjoy this. It's very spare. This is definitely up there in the comic that's not a lot happens in each issue. The honorary "Something is Killing the Children" award. Where I'm like,
how dare you?
That was pretty fast.
How dare you?
I like what's happening in this comic. It is just such a spare story that we're having here, but I am enjoying it. The art is amazing.
I mean, that's impressive. The fact that you're still enjoying it and looking forward to it, even though not a lot happens.
I just like to have, I want a bigger bite.
Mm-hmm.
Meaty.
You Never Heard of Me, number 5 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Iolando Zanfardino, art by Elisa Rambali. This is about a kid who is a seer. He can see possible futures, good and bad, when he touches people. But I'll tell you what, it's mostly not about that. It's mostly not. Mostly not, in a surprising way. This is the last issue of this series. There's a promise that they could potentially do more. But particularly this last issue, right up until the end, he barely does any searing at all. It's mostly just hanging out with his friends, getting to know him, getting to know his family. And I think that stuff has been really good. I've just been very surprised by this series because it does not go in the directions you expect a comic book series like this to go. But I think that's laudable, to just follow the character drama and sort of layer this supernatural power in sparingly throughout.
The way the first half of this comic was just like almost PSA levels of like good family time. This is like model family time. I was like, oh no, we're going to get some horrible reveal later on. And instead, like his powers are used just to be like, it worked. And then it's like, oh, it's even better. It worked even better than I thought. And I actually, while that's not like a big dramatic reveal or like a horror twist, I actually found it really satisfying because it set a baseline and then it exceeded it. And that became the way the narrative wrapped up.
Yeah, I agree. I liked the smaller choices that it was making. Very touching ending with the hugs there.
Hugs, great way to end the thing.
It just ended with hugs. When in doubt, hug it out. And I just think amazing art. Really solid story from start to finish, and kind of cool use of showing powers, you know?
Yeah, that has been the strongest thing about the book, is the way that they depict the visions of the future. Really nice panel layouts through there. Amazing Spider-Man number 6 from Marvel, written by Joe Kelly, art by John Romita Jr. In this issue, Spider-Man on top of the world, doing just fine, hanging out, solving mysteries, rewriting history, and fooling around with Black Cat.
Come on, Justin. Congratulations.
Don't you love it when your letter writing campaign works? You know, you put the effort in and people are like, this guy's been writing in, he talks a lot. Let's have Peter and Felicia get together. I appreciate it. Alex, how do you feel? The Shay-Peter relationship's getting loose. Getting more loose.
Done.
It's not over. They're still they're dating. They're not exclusive.
Here's the thing. Shay is fine with it. Peter Parker, not fine. He is an exclusive guy. He 100% is like, yeah, I'm trying to be really a serial monogamist, 100%. I do have a question, Pete, not to eat your lunch here. What's going on this cover? Because nothing against John Romita Jr., but on the cover here, Spider-Man is swinging and kicking and shooting his webs. Black Cat is there, and she's hanging onto a web that he is holding in his hand, and she's holding, and then it droops down out of her hands. What is she hanging on to there?
Well, here's what I think happened here.
Yeah.
Peter was like, I'm swinging. And she was like, I'll swing with you. And I think I think that makes sense. He's then casting the next web that they're going to share a little swing on. Oh. And I think that's a little bit of a relationship take.
Not the web she's holding just broke. And this is like split second, the last happy moment before she plummets to her death.
Interesting take. Interesting take, Alex. I guess we see you're a Shea head for life.
Shea head for life. That's what my shirt says, and that's what my underwear says.
The crazy thing, yes. And what are we all writing in our underwear? I assume it's something you wrote there in Sharpie?
No, it's underoos. It's underoos. They make them now.
Oh, interesting. You're writing across the whole underwear in Sharpie?
It takes a lot of time, but if you go into enough Walmarts, they can't stop you legally.
Oh, you're writing this for sale for other people.
Not just on your own.
As a service.
And it says Shea head.
Yeah.
Great.
Anyway, I like this. You know, it's John Romita Jr., classic Spider-Man artist. I think Joe Kelly has been writing a fun run. There's some fun jokes throughout here, some good emotional moments with Aunt May. I don't know what's going on with the Ares Light Hellgate villain who shows up at the end here, but I guess we'll find out.
Well, what I like about Joe Kelly's run is the constant turns into wild swings. Like we had it in the Sidorak stuff. We've had it with the mushroom tripping arc that just wrapped, that Peter's still dealing with the repercussions of. And then this, where it's like, he's like, literally, my life's great. And then it's like a lot of problems he has and stresses. And then suddenly out of nowhere, like a crazy mystical knight shows up. That's great. It's heightening so hard all the time. Very cool. I did think it was interesting, like, Peter's with Shea, and she's like, man, you're never around. I'm going on another date. And he's like, but I am never around. I'm like, what are we doing here? They're like so ready for a breakup. The Black Cat stuff, great, hot, love it, love it.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, Justin.
Great.
Thank you, Pete.
Bug Wars number 5 from Image Comics, written by Jason Aaron, art by Mahmoud Azrar. This takes place in a kid's backyard where he is shrunk down to tiny size, but it's not fun like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's terrifying like Game of Thrones, as he is teamed up with the Spider Lady, and the other Spider Ladies that the Spider Lady works with want to take the amulet out of his chest, but instead he powers up in a big way. Justin, you love this series as well, I believe.
I do love it. It's epic, big fantasy set in the most, down-to-earth environment. And it feels like that was the intention that Jason got into with Mahmoud when they made this book. We talked to them months ago, and they're just having fun, and it comes across in the book. Epic, big fantasy, a lot of, like, there's a whole scene here set in the corpse of a dog with a bunch of like warriors coming together being sort of shitty about everything, and it's very good. There's a big turn at the end here, getting into a little bit more, I don't want to call it superheroics, but definitely more like juiced up fantasy. So I'm curious how the book will change as we get into that.
Yeah,
but I love it.
I agree with everything you're saying. This is epic and great and a really fun adventure. But you're starting to wonder about this yard a little bit, like corpse dog just hanging out in the backyard. Like, what kind of yard is this? You know what I mean?
You don't have a dog corpse in your backyard?
You live in the woods, Pete. Surely there's a corpse around.
No. I mean, I told you I got freaked out by a woodpecker and thought it was a predator. But yeah, I'm definitely not into the corpse dog scene.
Oh, okay. So you bury them in some sort of pet cemetery.
Smart idea. Here, have you thought about this? Maybe take that dead dog you're talking about and make some dog leather, or perhaps maybe even some pecker leather from the woodpecker.
Yeah, of course.
And you could call it pecker leather, or you could call it woodpecker leather, and I'll leave it to you to decide which is best.
I was surprised about the end of this issue. I really like this series. Mahmoud Azrar.
Were you talking about the dad in the loincloth? You thought that was a little awkward?
We went through stuff very quickly was my issue. That we went from being the spider scene to the dad shows up suddenly and you're like, whoa, big cliffhanger. And then suddenly he's powered up and there's a big battle going on. It felt like there was at least 2 to 3 issues worth of story that were jammed in the final pages here. And I don't know if we're going to flash back and see more of that.
That's what I was
think.
Surprised. It was a jump and it felt purposeful though.
All right. Fantastic Four Fanfare, number 2 for Marvel, written by Jonathan Hickman, John Tyler Christopher, Andrew McIntosh, and Mark Buckingham. Art by Dustin Weaver, John Tyler Christopher, and Mark Buckingham. This is a bunch of all-star stories from throughout the era of the Fantastic Four. One of them, the front story, is the Fantastic Four watching and joining in on scary movies. The second one is Reed Richards trying to figure out why he's no longer getting weather reports from the future. And the third story is a more classic FF story by Mark Buckingham. Great collection. I was very surprised with the first one. That felt like, I mean, I know Jonathan Hickman and Dustin Weaver are a great team and everything, but it felt like a rando story you throw in the middle of a Halloween collection.
Yeah, it was so weird. I thought, I was like, they're watching this horror stuff happening, and then they're sort of going in, and then the twist is the zombies are watching them. It was just like so many wild ideas just unabashedly laid out.
And also, so like they're sitting down and watching a movie and they're like, no, it's not just watching a movie. It's the one night a year you could be in the movie. Check out our remote. And the remote was, what's his name? The psycho guy? The guy who...
Psycho Pirate?
No, it's not Psycho Pirate.
It's about Adam
Mr.
Sandler
Psycho.
Click.
No, it's a Fantastic Four villain who has that remote that can make people fear or hate or be scared. And they have that, and I was like, oh, okay, so Sue is going to be revealed to be him. But nope, that was actually her remote control. So, and at the end, it's revealed that the Marvel zombies are watching them. I don't know what was going on. Good art.
Yeah, great art. I also like the hide and seeker one. I thought that was such a cool story.
Funny.
But yeah, had a kind of like an old school feel to it, which was nice.
Psycho Man,
yes, that's who it was. It was his.
not a great name.
No, not a great name. Not a great villain. Also, because he's like, I have this enormous remote that only has 3 buttons on it. But Jack Kirby drew me, so I look good.
I swear he was in a comic we read last week or this week. I don't know. Sorry,
this
Pete.
week.
Not this week. I did like the Future Uncertain. I thought was cool. It made Reed Richards like I feel like this was such an anxiety comic, and then the twist at the end. I thought of you, Pete, because it was like, oh no, he's just like not being a great dad. Also, so perfect twist for Pete. And then yes, the last story was a very fun, light little take.
The Last Witch, Blood and Betrayal, number 1 for Bootbox, written by Connor McCreary, art by V.V. Glass. We talked to Connor McCreary about this book last week, I think, if I remember correctly. So check out that interview. But this is about a girl in a sort of, shall we say, Hansel and Gretel situation who escaped and decided to kill all witches. But at the end of the last series, it turned out she may be a little something of a witch herself. And that's what she's dealing with in this first issue as she explores her powers while we get ready to kick off this new adventure.
This is just a blast. Fun setup, a clear idea, well executed, great art. Yeah, this is cool.
I enjoy this as well. We talked about it during the live show interview, but the way that this combines the larger fantasy stuff and the I made a comparison to Bone, which was a little cheap because it's just like an older woman who smokes cigars. But there is a little bit of that fantasy world here where it is light, the characters are having fun for part of it, and then the seriousness of the fantasy crashes onto their shores, which I feel like was the hallmark of Bone. But this does that in a great way as well.
Gwenpool, number 2 from Marvel, written by Kevin Scott, art by Stefano Nessi. Gwen Stacy is back from the dead, and now she's been trained by the Weapon X program. She has, I think, a healing factor and some sort of sword claw type situation. And Gwenpool is very surprised by it, as is Spider-Man, Kate Bishop, and Jeff the Landshark. Meanwhile, there's some other things going wrong in the city, and it all leads to the moment you see on the cover where Gwen Stacy basically bullseye to Elektra's Gwenpool.
It does the Deadpool fillet kind of move from the movie.
Sure. Yeah, there
is a lot going on here. Mm-hmm. Later on in the issue, when they're like, Jeff, do you do something? I was like, what? This is not. There's a total mismatch here because there is some fun. Like the Gwenpool stuff is like pretty fun when she gets stabbed. And she's like, nice reference. I thought that was funny and good. It's just there's such a tonal mismatch between Peter Parker, who's like deathly hurt throughout a lot of this issue, and then the same thing happens to Gwenpool, and then this other Gwen character like is so bringing such dark, violent energy that it's hard to figure out the exact tone that we're aiming for here.
My issue with the Gwen Stacy thing, I mean, there's a couple of different issues with it. One, how far can you stretch a character before it's not that character anymore? And it's like, at the point that she's like, I'm the angriest person in the world, and I have swords, and I fight now. Is that Gwen Stacy? Like, I guess if she was a real person in our universe and that happened to her, sure. In the Marvel universe, I don't know that that's the same character so much as a different character that they're calling Gwen Stacy, which maybe that's what they're playing with, mind you. But
well, and I think we're going to get that backstory. I just wish they did it here because otherwise we're just a little lost.
The other problem is the first half of the issue, this Gwen Stacy is like, I'm going to kill all of you for what you did. And the second half of the issue is just like, oh gosh, I couldn't possibly kill everybody. And so I don't know who this character is, why she exists, what she is trying to do, or what the stakes are for everything, other than she accidentally kills Gwenpool at the end of the issue, which also is like, why are we doing that? I wonder what happens next.
It didn't seem like an accident to me.
No, she's like, oh God, I
step.
didn't mean to do that. Like, doesn't Gwen Stacy say that, if I remember correctly? So, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. There's also like a digital coloring thing they do with the bruises on Gwenpool that just looks weird. That's it. Anyway, we'll probably read the next one of this, I guess. The Cold Witch.
I do want to read the next one because I want that back.
I'm curious. I want to see how this all pans out. The Cold Witch, A Tale of the Surrounded College, number 2 from Image Comics, written by Charles Soule, art by Will Sliney. This is about a cold witch. We find out the myth of the cold witch here. She's so cold. She makes deals with people, but the trick is she doesn't let you know what the deal is until after she's already done the thing.
Man,
and if you back off,
deal.
she gives you the most messed up case of frostbite you've ever felt in your entire life.
Distant frostbite.
This is a dark Frozen telling, that's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's almost exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. What you guys think about this? Any other opinions, or just it's not?
The art's awesome and it's pretty dark.
I really like the backstory on the Cold Witch that we get. We still have a mystery about like what her deal is, but just seeing what she does to this guy in the first like 4 or 5 pages, I thought was cool. And then, I mean, Charles just does a great job of building out these great little scene moments. We have the woman who's undercover pretending she doesn't speak Russian. She speaks Russian and just like does a real show at the local spa.
Oh man.
There's also like she has red rope tattoos all over her body, and then someone's killed with a red rope, and everyone's like, what are we gonna do about this mystery? There's a stranger who comes to town with matching tattoos to the murder weapon. I'm not playing Clue, but if I was, I would go to the conservatory and say that.
Spider-Verse versus Venomverse, number 2 from Marvel, written by Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom, art by Luciano Vecchio. There are a bunch of Spider-Mens and a bunch of Venoms from different parts of the multiverse who have to battle And whoever loses gets eliminated completely and forever. I was surprised after they killed one of the Venoms the last issue that they brought in more Venoms and more Spider-Men. I thought we were heading towards a situation where we're whittling down the teams, but
yes.
I guess not.
Yeah, I don't know how this competition is working. Let me also say, I find it very strange that Spider-Ham is here to be like, I'll kill you. And I'm like, that's not what he does. In this issue, he's very serious and no fun, and I don't understand.
Yeah, but that was in itself was fun. I was like, oh man, Spider-Ham's dark in this issue. So, I mean, when you're playing with different verses, why wouldn't there be a darker Spider-Ham? Maybe, I don't know. But that was my favorite part. Was the Spider-Ham. I'm a sucker for Spider-Ham. Tons of action, which is great.
You're a sucker for all ham, Pete. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Spider-Ham is just another.
That's fair. Yeah.
You love hams.
You had me at ham.
Yeah. So you like Spider-Ham and you like ham. Do you like ham spider?
It's a great question. You know what that is? That's a great last comic in the stack question from Alex Albert.
Yeah. To be clear, that's a ham with legs that crawls around in your house.
Someone get that darn ham spider. It won't crawl right out of the fridge.
I mean, it would be awesome. It wouldn't be something to be afraid of. You'd be like, oh, great, I'm hungry. Hopefully the Spider-Ham will come near and I can eat him.
If you saw a ham crawling around your house, you'd be like, oh, it's snack time.
Yeah, exactly. Delicious.
Hey, I'm going to prepare this. I'm going to prepare the ham spider. Anybody want a leg? I'm just going to cut the legs off.
Save me the leather. Save me the leather.
Yeah.
And that's it for the stack.
Spider leather. Very hard. Very hard to work with.
Support this podcast and all the podcasts we do. Patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m.
Sure
do.
do.
Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We'd love to chat with you about comics. Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show. ComicBookClubLive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, we'll see you at the Comic Book Club.
And I'll see you in my little Pete leather hat down at the local store. Chewing on a little bit of Pete
after
ham.
I'm dead, of course.
Yes. I'm not trying to kill you. I'm trying to use your body to make a little bit of fashion.
Yeah, but it seems like you're very excited about you want to rush the process.
Well, I don't buy a lot of new clothes. I'm not rushing. I just can't wait.
Quick question.
I cannot wait.
You never sleep, right?
Yeah, I won't now.
And just say your home address again real quick.